there, PA Federationists. Welcome to another episode of White Canes Connect, presented by the National Federation of the Blind of Pennsylvania. My name is David Goldstein. I am the first vice president of the NFB of PA. Joining me today on this special edition is second vice president, Emily Gindlesperger. Emily, how are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you, David?
Good, thanks. I guess we can call this the VP edition of the podcast. And we're going to talk all about the upcoming state convention in Erie coming in November. So to start off, what made Erie the selection this year?
We try to reach many of the corners of Pennsylvania. It is quite a large state. And when we move the convention around, then we can touch more people and potentially reach more members. So it had been quite a while. I mean, I think Connie said it was over 2 decades since they've been back in Erie. And we felt that it was about time to show up again.
It's funny that you mentioned that because it was one of our very first episodes. I don't remember if it was episode 1 or episode 2, but we had Jim and Connie on, and Jim talked about the state convention. His first state convention was in Erie, and he talked about taking an overnight bus and so forth and so on. So it's funny that it's come around again. Let's talk about the venue itself. The venue looks to be outstanding, and I know a lot of people are still a little shell-shocked from last year's, whatever you want to call it, from the hotel. This looks to be the complete opposite. Obviously, time will tell, but talk a little bit about the Ambassador Banquet and Conference Center.
I've tried to put last year's in the past and leave it there. So in this, as you said, it's the Ambassador Banquet and Conference Center on Peach Street. We had the ability to get there after the leadership conference in March. And it is a beautiful facility. And it is, similar in the sense of in Orlando, you had one hotel at one end and another hotel at the other. So in Erie, this center is flanked by a Hilton and on the other side a Marriott. So the conference rooms are accessible from either hotel. And it is quite lovely, I must say. It's all on one level, so we don't have to try to find the 12th floor for the hidden rooms and everything. And it was, if I do say, it was quite clean in my observance of it. So I'm very excited to actually be up there. It is, it's not like a renovated hotel trying to be a conference center. It is actually designed for conferences and special events.
It's funny. I was just at a podcasting conference a few weeks ago in Washington, and this looked similar to the hotel that I stayed at, which had all of the events in this case. But the hotel was, I don't know how many stories, around 18 or 20 stories high. And it had this giant atrium, which I know the Banquet Center has an atrium. In fact, that's where most of our events are going to be, in the atrium. And the conference that I was at, every room faced this atrium, and it looked like you were outside. They had balconies where it felt like and looked like you were outside, but you were just inside in this giant atrium with all sorts of plants down below. You could see the Potomac River out there. And this just reminded me of that, looking at images from the Ambassador Banquet and Conference Center. Let's talk about the hotel. So these hotels, both the Hilton Gardens and the Courtyard by Marriott, are attached. Is that correct? Where it's either inside walking to get to it or at least undercover walking?
Yes, it is inside.
Okay.
So you can, if you come into the Hilton, and if I remember correctly, you go to the right and then you'll go past the majority of the meeting rooms and then you'll end up in the Marriott, and that is all indoors.
It's interesting to note, and Jason had asked, originally he saw 4 hotels on the website, nfbofpa.org/2024, if you want to check all of this stuff out with the convention. We did have 4 originally. 2 of them were since nixed. Tell us about those.
We came to find out that they were not as close to the conference center as we would have liked. And the Marriott and the Hilton did actually end up having the additional room space. So we felt it would be better just to have everybody in one facility. And so we did ask them to double check to make sure nobody was rooming over there under our room blocks. And then we just moved them all into the main facility.
Hotel reservations, the information on the 2 hotels over at nfbofpa.org/2024. You can also find out the meal options. Let's talk a little bit about those. This year, there's a couple more days of food choices.
We felt that it might be better to have more options for the people traveling. And since we're going to be in the conference center, so on Thursday, which is typically the day that we do the veteran celebration, we are having a pasta bar, which, as you said, all this information is online because I'm not going to remember everything. But it was like penne, it was ravioli, it wasn't just like spaghetti and sauce, and they had like, I think, chicken, and you can add in, it had like 3 different types of sauce. You could get the Alfredo sauce, the regular sauce. So that was I'm very excited about that because I love pasta bars. So the next day on Thursday and Friday, as always, we do have the box lunches, and that's just the convenience of running to meetings, and you can pick up the box lunch. And then Friday evening is the big evening, and I'm sure we'll talk separately about that. But in that evening, we're going to have a talk. Like, they mentioned it at leadership. We're like, "What do you guys want to see at convention?" And from the crowd came a taco bar, and I was like, "Wow!" And then we were going through the information. I was like, "Wow, they actually have a taco bar." So we pulled together the taco bar for Friday evening. It's a taco and street corn bar. And then Saturday, the plated lunch is the sit-down lunch, and that's actually going to be a soup and salad bar. So we're changing it a little bit. Usually it was like a sandwich or something, and we thought this would be a nice change. And you got to switch it up every now and then, keep people interested and exciting.
Right.
And then Banquet, we have your expected chicken banquet dinner and the vegetarian option. But this year, since we are in Erie and they constantly are fishing Lake Erie, we put on the menu the fresh caught Lake Erie perch.
Let's talk about that for a minute, because I think it was Anissa that asked, what is Lake Erie perch? What's so special about it?
It tastes really good. They go out when you're up there. I think she also wanted to know fun things to do. And if I had more time, I'd be chartering a boat, right? So they go out in the morning. You can do anything. You could go perch fishing. There's walleye up there, all sorts of things in that lake. And so it is caught fresh out of the lake and then brought into the restaurants and the hotels to eat up there. And it tastes way better, especially since somebody else is cooking it. But it is really good.
And cleaning it, for that matter.
Yeah, exactly.
Is it going to be prepared? Is it fried? How's it prepared?
It is going to be fried.
Okay.
In my opinion, that's about the only way to eat it, because I love fried fish. I love fish fries.
Okay.
I mean, if we had catfish, like when we were in New Orleans, that's all I was eating. I was eating red beans and rice and fried catfish, right?
So that's the banquet. Then Sunday, there's a breakfast.
It is a buffet again this year. The option that we chose, there will be like a yogurt bar on the tables. Okay. So there will be yogurt with, I think, granola and fruit.
Let's go back to the Friday night. You had mentioned the taco bar and the street corn, and I love elote, so I'm looking forward to that. Mm-hmm. What else, if somebody they want to try something in Erie, are there restaurants that are close by that are walkable?
From where we are, Yes, but they are chain restaurants. Like there's well, I don't know if you consider Burger King a restaurant, but there's a Burger King out the door of the Hilton. And
Okay.
then on the other side, there is a Cracker Barrel. And then I know there was, you could call it a beer hall for lack of a better term, but I cannot remember the name because they were just mentioning it in passing.
Okay.
So there are it where the hotel is the business district. So once you get in there, there is like the shopping centers, some of the grocery stores, that's all down at that end of Peach Street. So I don't know, they're not all going to be within walking distance, but they're definitely within an Uber distance or an Instacart distance.
And I think Sherry had asked that about
Mhm.
what was close as far as supermarkets go, because I know some people like to go out and get their stuff and then bring it back and put it in their rooms, in their fridges and whatnot. So supermarkets are fairly close, whether it's walkable or not, that remains to be seen, as well as we don't know what the weather's going to be like. Fall in Erie might have some rain,
May
hopefully
have
not
some.
snow. But that's good to know that there are some things close by. And again, the same thing, like you said, Instacart and or Uber close enough by. What about a Starbucks? Are there any Starbucks close by? Do you have any idea?
There is a Starbucks actually in the Marriott, from what I was told. So
Okay.
it's in the lobby. I do know that she said you cannot use gift cards there.
Okay. So probably one of those licensed, again, going back to the most recent conference I was
Mhm.
just at, they had Starbucks licensed drinks. You could go get a caramel macchiato and whatnot. They were licensed, but it wasn't a Starbucks. It was a, for lack of a better word, a cafe that was inside the hotel that
Mhm.
you could get all those things from. So that's also good to know. And I'm sure there's probably some sort of coffee place in the Hilton as well. Maybe not Starbucks, but maybe a place you can get coffee or tea or a latte or something like that. Do you know about that?
Not to be an instant Hilton commercial, but the Hilton, because when we went up to view the facility, the rooms do have a Keurig and a microwave and a refrigerator. But in their lobby, they always have a coffee station
Okay.
that's full themselves. And there is in both hotels, there is an indoor like restaurant bar area in both
Okay.
hotels.
And that was going to be my next question. The restaurant, there's a restaurant and bar in both places. I know a
Yes.
lot of times after the organized festivities are over, folks like to migrate to the bar and just hang out. And that's where Angelina would sing and at the Crown Plaza and
Yes.
Esther and whatnot. And it's just
Mhm.
fun to hang out and talk to the other folks there outside of what might be going on within the convention itself. So let's backtrack. So on Thursday, the first day of the convention, in the morning, we have the Senior Possibilities Fair. Talk a little bit about that.
That is a separate registration from the convention, and that is also online. And it starts like the registration and check-in table is going to be open at about 8:30 a.m. and the event will start at 9 and run till noon unless they got some really good questions going on. So, from what I know right now, your registration is $20. That will cover a continental breakfast that will be inside the room, the meeting room, so you can get whatever you want and sit down and relax. They are having the gentleman's name is George Dillman, and he is the outreach at the Pennsylvania Department of Banking, and he'll be joining us again. I do believe he might be going over scams that, scam protection for seniors and a few other things. But they generally, watching a senior meeting, because I get to moderate them sometimes, they are very interesting. There's a lot of spontaneous conversations and a lot of tricks and tips that people share and talk about what helps them, reading like the prices in a grocery store or getting their grocery list together or, Uber, Lyft, or, paratransit. And so I look for that to be, a good time of fellowship and connection, and reaching out to some seniors who, I know for my father, it was losing that independence and not having a support structure is difficult for some people. So we're looking to reach out and help out the community and get some good information out there into people's hands.
That is something that is very much needed, and a lot of folks forget about it because most folks have a mobile. And in the blind community, if you don't have an iPhone, I don't know what's wrong with you, but you got to get one if you can't see, because voiceover is 8 million times better than talkback. But maybe we'll save that for the taking care of business section. Seniors don't always know how to use the mobile device, and a mobile device makes just about everything accessible, whether it's a website or an app, or as you mentioned, reading prices in the supermarket. Again, when I was in the convention, I had to get my own tea, and the lady says, "It's right back there over your left shoulder." And I said, "Oh, I get it myself." And she said, "Yes. Do you need help?" I said, "Nope, let me try it, and I'll do it on my own. If I need help, I'll come get you."
Mm-hmm.
And because I had Seeing AI and used Seeing AI to do it, I was able to find the tea bags that I wanted out of a selection of 8 different kinds. I was able to find where the cups were. I was able to find where the hot water thing was, and the coffee collar and whatnot. And I did it all on my own. And it's so important to do that, like you say, for the independence. And maybe not when you're out at a cafe or somewhere at the supermarket, but when you're in your house and you say, "Oh, I wonder what this is in this can or jar," you can take your phone out and you take a picture of it with Be My Eyes and talk about it that way. Or Seeing AI, you can use that. Very important. And I look forward to hearing what folks have to say about that, as well as the scams, because I just heard of one the other day where a lot of seniors are getting scammed and are putting money into these crypto machines to get money to pay off certain debts and whatnot. And it just sounded crazy what's going on. So I'm sure George will touch on those. Thursday afternoon, we have Taking Care of Business, which is a combination of tech and business. That's something that I'll moderate.
I got tons of people I'm throwing at you.
Okay. So who do we have? Who do we have coming in for that?
So Dan Gardner from View Plus is always the attraction there with his embossers and bringing braille, tactile, everything according to business. His father was a blind scientist and started the company, so he'll be giving us updates and new information. We're actually trying to get our hands on a independent science microscope, so that might be interesting, but I don't know if we're going to be pulling that off. Then we have Deborah Erickson, who was with you before.
Yes.
And she's going to zoom in, and while everyone might consider it low tech, it's my favorite kind of tech because it allows you to cook in the kitchen. So,
and she will give a great overview. That's on the business side of things. Obviously, we're going to talk about food too, because I think about her every time my wife and I watch The Kitchen, because that's her favorite show on Food Network. And I'll put a link in the show notes for the episode that Chef Deborah Erickson was on with Lisa and I. And again, I'm looking forward to digging in a little deeper on the business side of things there. Who else?
So Chris Cowan is from the BVS OVR, the Blindness and Visual Services and the Office of Vocational Rehabilitation. He was with us last year, and he's going to be giving us the update, because I think a lot of people don't realize that not only can you get into like the BEP program in the state also does offer for blind individuals like business startup. So if you wanted to start up your own business, they could help you to get on your way to do such things. So he's there to share the information on that. There's a gentleman, and you and I haven't even discussed this, and he's really into Braille literacy, and he was in the exhibit hall last year. And so we might want to bring him in and let him talk about his new product that he started, what do you call those things? Not a Kickstarter, like,
Crowdfunding.
yeah, and that's how he started his stuff. And it's a really neat device that allows you to almost draw in braille.
Hmm.
And so it's a refreshable screen that you have a magnetic stylus, and it pulls like the little pins up
Huh.
so you can do stuff. It was very interesting, I thought. And for the early on, both the business side of it and the educational side of it is incredible. And so there's going to be more. We're still actually working on people and getting people up there, making sure and confirming people. So there'll be more. I think we mentioned this, or if we didn't, I'm going to mention it now. We're still working on the agenda. It's still not finalized. So, it'll be tweaked before we get there.
Just so folks know, this is something that we have a broad overview of how things are going to be laid out for the convention. Everything will fall into place as we get closer, and we'll have the agenda on the website once it's available. All right, so that's Thursday day. Now, Thursday night, what do we have?
Thursday night is going to be the Veterans Celebration, a tradition that we started a few years ago. And it's also going to be a welcome to Erie. So hopefully, I talked with a couple local dignitaries. I don't know if anybody, is familiar with our celebration of veterans. We've done it a few years. We've had Vern Humphreys in from the National Association of Blind Veterans, and he has been here. He unfortunately can't make it this year, but I think some other representatives are going to be joining us. And what we typically do is take names and honor the blind veterans that are our members. If you're a member and you have family members that were in the military, we can recognize those individuals as well. In the past, when we were in Harrisburg, the one year, Federal Representative Scott Perry came and spoke at our event, and he's actually a general. So it was really interesting getting his perception, and he used to fly helicopters. And when we were in Pittsburgh, Devlin Robinson, he's a state senator, he came and spoke, and he has a business that helps veterans who are contemplating suicide and who need additional support. So we're hoping to get some local people. It's always nice to have them, not necessary, but it is a wonderful time where we do just take a moment before, and I think the one year it was Veterans Day when we had our event, because our convention is always around this weekend. So, it's not always on Veterans Day, it's near it, but we take a moment and thank those who've served and, who've given us what we have today in this country.
So after the veterans, we're going to have some sort of talent show or jam session. I know it's still all coming together, but that would be after the veterans, though. Is that right?
Yes. So because we always find that it's nice to socialize. And if people are still finishing up eating, or people got in there late, or people, are just relaxing and talking, we all have for the last several years had some form of talent show. And so we thought, we'd move that portion to Thursday. We have discussed from like a jazz cabaret to a jam session. If people have instruments, they're more than welcome to bring them. And we're looking to have a piano there. I'm very much hoping that Bill McCann comes, because he was playing trumpet last year, and that was really fantastic. And so it'll be in-house talent. I think it'll be really fun. It'll be a nice, relaxing time to catch up with everyone, since a lot of people we don't get to see each other except at state convention.
For that night, as well as for the next night for the auction and bingo. Cash bar during that time, while this is going on?
We intend on all 3 evenings to have a cash bar available and food. And that's usually how it's been. So whenever the doors open, you will have the opportunity. It is a cash bar. It'll be available to those who come in both on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
Friday night is the night of a couple of big things. The auction, which has always been one of my favorite parts of the convention. I remember after the first convention I went to, I came home and I told my wife, I said, you should see, they had this thing and they were doing this auction and there was all this crazy bidding over homemade cookies and so forth and so on. And I just love the way Denise does the auction. It's always a lot of fun. I know this year we're going to have baskets from all the different chapters. I know Keystone Chapter is doing a Philly Family Fun basket that's going to have some toys and games and maybe some movie tickets and things like that in there, gift cards for movie places. Auction is going to be fairly similar to how it's been. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
It's just so, and this is one of these things that we're still tweaking the lineup but at one part we were going to do a couple bingo games and then do the auction and then finish out the bingo games because we really want everybody there and we really want everybody to have an opportunity to walk home with something. So the registration or check-in is going to start at 5:30, and between 5:30 and 6:30 we're going to have time to allow people to go in and look at the baskets. And we're going to have one side of it is going to be the prizes for the bingo games, and the other side is going to be the items that are going to be auctioned. And so, because sometimes it's hard to tell. We're planning on doing everything in print and braille, giving people enough time, and then also giving enough time because the one thing I forgot to mention with the yummy taco bar and street corn bar. Street corn, I've never had street corn bar, so this should be interesting. It also has 4 different kinds of desserts too. So I'm going
You
to
happen to know now you've really piqued my interest. Do you know what the desserts are? Churro, maybe?
There are churros. That's like,
okay.
I'll be fighting you for them, right? But they're having a dessert that's called flan.
Okay.
Now that I will tell you is like at the local Mexican restaurant, that is Angelina's like dessert of choice.
She can have mine. Yeah, I'm not a fan of flan.
She loves it. And I can't, there's 2 other ones that I can't remember exactly which one, but they are on the meal page. So it's going to be like the entire thing. And there will be the cash bar with maybe something special going on with the tacos.
It kind of coincides with tacos. So if you
Yes.
think tacos, you always think of this drink. Stay tuned for that as we work out the details there.
Kirk Hunger has been generous enough to allow us to use the bingo machine, and I think he has totally co-opted Angelina. She's going to be calling it. And so there's going to be 10 games in total. The last game is going to be a jackpot for a what I would consider a decent enough, like it's a Visa cash card, which I would not mind winning. So we've had baskets so far, like you said, the Philadelphia, the family fun basket. I have a basket here that is drinks. I know everybody's shocked to know that, but it's sort of like a basket of cheer. And I have heard that there's going to be Erie chocolate lovers basket. And so hopefully it'll pique, we'll have enough variety and we'll pique some interest and, get in some good money.
And with the that evening, if you have registered for the convention,
Mhm.
you don't have to pay to come into that. Is that right?
Correct. So if you're just registered for convention, you are actually, maybe we should have talked about this. When you come in to pick up your information, you will be given a name badge that hangs around your neck like they do at National. And if you order meals, you'll be given all your meal tickets. You need to have your name badge on when you come to the event. And regardless if you order food or want to play bingo, if you just want to go in there and watch the bidding wars, which I'm hoping are going to be really good, then all you have to do is have your convention name tag on and you're in. If you decide you want to play some bingo, then there will be bingo boards that have 2 games on them and they will be brailled. So it is an accessible bingo game. Those will be $5 at the door. And if you want to do the street corn bar and the tacos, then you will have to make sure that you choose that when you register, because we have to have all those numbers in by October 15th.
And with that, you'll get a bracelet so
For
people know when you
yes,
go up
so
to get the food, right?
yeah, we'll get one of those annoying paper wristbands.
That you can never get off. You'll have that
Yeah,
for the rest of the
for the rest of
convention.
your convention, and hopefully we won't get your arm hair stuck in it. So yeah, you'll get a paper wristband, and that will indicate to the hotel staff that you have paid for the taco and street corn bar.
Now, you had mentioned something with the bingo cards, and I think it was Stacy that had a question about both the meal tickets and now that you mentioned it, the bingo card.
Mhm.
Is there some way a lot of folks who are blind or legally blind might not be able to read Braille, but also won't be able, and I'm in this boat, can't see the numbers or what it might say on that. Now, in my defense, I would pull out my phone and scan it. But again, like we mentioned earlier, not everybody can do that. Is there going to be some way or someone to help with, oh, you need this ticket, here's your ticket for lunch, or here's your ticket for dinner? How's that going to work out? Is there something going on with that?
As you mentioned that, I actually had a conversation with Stacy earlier, and usually in the past it's been brailled in print, and then people just ask for assistance or ask the wait staff. But once that was brought up, I started thinking about it, and we may be able to institute another form of marking on the card. So potentially up in the left-hand corner, there might just be like a full cell or a dot. And one dot would be Thursday lunch, 2 dots would be Friday lunch, and 3 dots would be Saturday lunch. And then do the lower left-hand corner the same way for the dinners.
Okay.
So I don't know. I mean, that was just one thing that we came up with, or we might just have to add that to the taking care of business of how to use your AI, right?
There you go. Right.
But
There you go.
that might be a solution, because Sunday breakfast, you wouldn't need any other tactile information. And when we do hand them out, we put the packets together. We do put them in chronological order. So when
Okay.
you get your meal cards, they will be, Thursday lunch, Thursday dinner, Friday lunch, Friday dinner, Saturday lunch, Saturday dinner, and then Sunday breakfast.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. That's good to know. And thank you, Stacy, for that question. Okay. So we've got the bingo and the auctions. Again, that sounds like a lot of fun that night. And more importantly, the tacos and street corn.
Mm-hmm.
And along with the desserts. Flan, not so much. Churros, I'm all in.
They're like,
So
Angelina will take it. Don't worry about it.
what else happens on Friday before all that fun stuff?
Well, Friday morning is generally the day that we have all our divisions and then the Jigsaw chapter. And who can ever make it for the Jigsaw chapter, they come in and have their annual meeting. So the blind merchants will be meeting, the deaf blind will be meeting, the parents will be meeting, and the students are still up in the air. We might have a surprise for the student division. We do have the guide dog division. We're trying to work something out there as well because the president of the guide dogs cannot make it. So we're going to try to work something out. And then the senior group, unless they get all their business taken care of on Thursday morning, they might want to get together. And then the blind parents group will be together.
So that's Friday during morning and afternoon, or is it all morning?
Again, the agenda will be posted later.
But generally spread throughout the day is what you're saying.
We've done it so many different ways depending on that one Friday we had the whole Star Trek episode in the afternoon, and I think that was the only thing. If there was something else going on that afternoon other than the exhibit hall, I can't remember what it was. And so it's really going to depend on what presenters we have and when they can meet. Because I know in the parents division, we really want to bring back in Dr. Carol Clancy, who is the Bureau Director of Special Ed. And she is actually going to be out of town and she won't be able to make it this year. And she wanted to Zoom in. So, we're just trying to, who can present what, where, and when. And we try to be as flexible as possible with the agency members and the other people coming in to do something. So they should be throughout the day. I can tell you personally I know what I can tell you. I will tell you that the biggest change is we are moving the board meeting that is typically at 4 p.m. to like a lunch. I don't want to call it lunch and learn, like meet and eat, and we're going to have it in the atrium and we're all going to get our box lunches if we order them. And we are going to sit there and have our board meeting at noon. So that way I won't be panicking in the afternoon trying to get everything set up for the bingo. So I think I'm actually kind of excited because I think it might have better participation and a higher interest level than holding it in the evening. But I could be wrong. But
right. No, I like the idea of doing it during lunchtime, and again, it will alleviate some of the stress from everyone. Oh, we've got to do the board meeting. Then I'd like to run back to my room to do this, that, or the other, and then come back down for auctions and bingo. This way, you've got plenty of time to take care of all that, and you just eat while you hear about what's happening within the affiliate and around the state. Now, one thing that we didn't touch on, and you mentioned a little bit, is the exhibit hall. Talk a little bit about that. I know we're still waiting and it's early and we're still getting folks coming in, but just overall, generally, what is the exhibit hall?
So the exhibit hall is going to be a 2-day event, and actually 2 full days, which there have been times that we didn't do that. So Thursday, it's going to be 10 to 5, and Friday, it is going to be 9 until 3. And this year, you're going to have your tech people in there showing off their stuff. You're going to have a few chapter people in there selling things and handing out general information. The state agencies are going to be in there handing out information. We already do know that the Library for Accessible Media for Pennsylvanians will be there again. and they will have all of their information available. And we're trying to get in some um, more along the lines of employers, to tell you the truth. So, different agencies that are looking to hire or looking to reach out to blind or otherwise persons with disabilities and giving job opportunities. So, it's going to be a little bit of everything. And my favorite station that I already know about is Musi is going to be doing shoulder and neck massages.
That sounds
So
great.
if
I
you
need that
can't
right
find,
now.
you know where I'll be.
That sounds outstanding.
So,
So if you've ever been to any kind of conference, it's similar to any kind of exhibit hall that you've been to. It doesn't matter what the field is.
mhm,
It's similar to that. It's companies showing their services, it's organizations showing their services, other companies showing their hardware and their goods to sell, and always a good showing of what's available. And it's a good time to try with the different various assistive tech folks that are going to be there to see what that stuff is like and give it a try, because it's not cheap, as everybody knows. So to give it
mhm.
a try there and not have to travel somewhere else to go give it a try later on is always good to do. Saturday is typically general sessions. Is that pretty much how it's going to be this year?
Yes, it'll be the general sessions and then elections in the afternoon. We do have a few like in-house baskets. The Blind Kitchen did donate something really lovely. We were discussing just keeping that as an in-house auction item and maybe running one or two auction baskets during general session to keep things moving along, or maybe even at Banquet. Things that would be more specific to the blind community. And, I know I don't want the public voting on any of Connie's cookies if she
No,
makes them. I don't know.
I think we do want the public voting, because then they'll go way up,
They'll go way up.
way up.
See,
And
that's the double-edged sword.
yeah, that's what we want, the public to vote, to bid on everything. And then after general sessions, of course, is the banquet on Saturday night. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yes, so the banquet is fully going to be better than last year. Uh, it is a time, you mentioned the last podcast we had the national rep on, he'll address the membership. We'll be able to break bread. Again, it's the vegetable lasagna, I believe, was the vegetarian option, the stuffed chicken breast, and the perch and cash bar. I don't know about you. I love dressing up. So I always take the opportunity to probably overdress for the occasion, but I do love dressing up. And everybody dresses to their own style, but I take this opportunity as a banquet to go the whole 9 yards. And then afterwards, we're looking at to do little in-house DJ. What did I call her? DJ the Ange, because that was like her nickname at school. So she has volunteered her services. So we might be able to kick our heels up and dance for a little bit after all the speeches and the important things are over.
And would the bar remain open for that time?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, you know, it is my understanding. I don't want to say anything and then somebody be like, you said
Right.
it.
With everything that we're talking about, things can change because of personnel changes. We certainly saw that last year, but things could change. So you just have to take a look at the agenda once it comes out, and that'll be out in about a month or so. One question that I had from a couple of folks, one of them was shell shocked from last year's
No.
banquet meal. And he said to me, I'm not going to buy a banquet meal this year. Folks like that who aren't going to buy the meal, are they still able to come in and listen to the speeches? There's nothing against that. Is that right?
No. I just would appreciate if they would let us know. And they have to make sure that the wait staff knows as well. The wait staff is going to be looking for your meal ticket on the table, but sometimes we do preset the salad
Right.
and potentially even the dessert. So it would be best if, if they do want to come and attend and not eat, that they let me know.
Right. Okay. And again, that's going to be something that is, if we have 83 people order meals, there's only going to be 83 desserts and salads and whatnot. So if
Right,
you don't order the meal, don't sit at a table where there is a dessert and a salad. That's not yours. Sit at a
right,
table or wait until everybody who has ordered the meals find a seat and then go find another seat. Maybe we can make a table or two up without any kind of anything on it, that folks who don't order the meals could sit if they need to. I know I'd
right,
be okay standing, but I've already ordered my meal.
right. And that's what I was just thinking. It might not, because we could probably do that in the back. But again, a lot of people want to go if they want to sit with their chapter and stuff. So it would just be best, to let us know ahead of time. Most likely, so it's not like a shock to me, and I'm wondering why people are moving salads and desserts.
Right, right, right. Okay. And then Sunday typically is getaway day. So before we head out, we have the breakfast as we talked about. And then there's a couple of different things that go on. It's a general meeting, and usually the chapters and affiliates talk about what's going on within them. Is that right?
Yes, it was deemed the chapter breakfast. So everybody, um, whoever gets the breakfast will have the breakfast, and we'll go around the room, and each chapter and each division can give the update, or if the president isn't there, can't make it to convention, then whoever the next person would be who's there can give the update. They usually go through what fundraisers they had, if they did anything special for like, as what I knew, at Meet the Blind Month, and then I think it's Blind
Equality Achievement
Equality
Month.
Achievement Month. The chapters do outreaches. They'll go to different like Lions clubs, or they've been doing, in fact, have been doing a lot of Yvonne Hughes's senior events and stuff. And people will give updates on what they do and what they plan on doing. And it's a really nice way to, compare notes, maybe pick up a hint and steal somebody's fundraising idea. It might
Right.
work in your area as well.
That
Then,
is something that's that was something that I know last year there were some takeaways. And then at National this year, I heard a couple of things that kind of reminded me of that chapter breakfast, because we went around the room in this fundraising session, and the different people, and these were again folks from all around the country who were talking about it. But it was nice to hear what worked, and oh, we tried that, but it didn't really work because maybe we needed to do this, and it just we didn't, and that's why it didn't work, or we don't know. And that is something that's very helpful for everyone to learn, because we all want to build our chapters, because when we build our chapters, we build the affiliate, and it just makes us a stronger organization overall.
okay,
And that's it for that. Then that's pretty much it. Is that right?
we do the much awaited for financial report. The financial report is given. If there are any resolutions, then they will be voted on. At this current time, there are none at the state level. And then the national rep, Tracy, will give uh, like a national update, more or less, like closing words. And then we'll probably have the last year's last door prize was pretty nice.
That's right. Oh, I forgot about that. I know a couple of years ago in Pittsburgh, we were giving out things and I won exactly what I wanted. It was a candle and a bottle of water. I gave the candle to Angelina and I had the
Hmm.
bottle of water for the trip home.
Yep.
But I know the money is more important.
Yeah, last year that was a nice little. So, we're trying to replicate it again. We need to have a fundraising podcast of why it's important, and you got to keep trying the risk that's involved. But if you have fun doing it, then sometimes the biggest payoff from a fundraiser is just meeting people, and then the next time around it'll get better. Sometimes the first time is the best time. And then after that, it's not, people don't want to come as much, but then if you keep hanging in there and you keep raising the interest, then more people are going to be like, oh, wow, this is serious. And then the people will keep giving. And that's what we need, because the more we can raise awareness from the public side and get support, the more we can help our own members. And then we can, have the convention and bring in the speakers. And, because unfortunately everything does, cost money. And, our job as a nonprofit is to raise that to help everyone.
Right. Very important with the fundraising. And I'm interested and so hopeful to see what kind of outside participation we get within Erie for the bingo on Friday night. That'll be a good bellwether on what we do moving forward, because as we move forward, as we've talked about, we've gone to different places. Erie this year, who knows where next year. I'm sure Lynn will have some updates on that.
Right.
And it'll be interesting to see if we can replicate whatever happens in Erie wherever we go next. And it's something, as you say, we want folks, as Jim Antonacci always says, we want to stop putting our hands in our own pockets and have some other people help us out with their own money and not dip into our, everybody always dipping in for theirs. So anything else about Erie that we didn't talk about that you think we should know?
I'm just very excited. I guess after last year, it's only the way to go is up, right?
We forgot to touch on the merchants and the hospitality suite.
Oh, yes. So the hospitality suite will be located, the hotel up there. A lot of these rooms are kind of like Southwestern kind of. So you have like the Mirage, the Sahara, and the one where the hospitality suite is going to be is really easy to remember because it's the desert room. Erie is working with the merchants, and so it should be in. The other thing that's nice is we do have it, for pretty much forever. We need it. It's not like there have been some conventions in the past where it's actually been one of the hotel suites. This is actually like a smaller conference room. And so we'll be able to be in there. They can set up, and they should have, and the hours will be listed in the agenda. But I look forward to it being really special. And they're I think, because I know Erie's already gotten some donations for that. And I know Pam's working with the merchants. So it'll be available. And there should be, all your morning stuff that you need, and during the day to go in there and hang out. They will have chairs this time.
I know last year that was one thing that I thought it wasn't great to get to because it was up, I think it was on the 10th floor.
10th floor.
But that was one thing last year at the convention that I thought was good, was the hospitality suite. It had a nice room, and I know we had the posted hours. Make sure you pay attention to some of your friends in the affiliate to know maybe there's a little something going on after those posted hours.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
We'll have to wait and see how that goes down, because that was a lot of fun. And that was a lot of times where folks went to hang out after everything was said and done, more so than in the bar at the hotel last year. So again, keep your eyes peeled for that. Is that fairly close to the atrium and the other rooms?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's something else I would like to let everyone know. Connie and her sister, they have gone and walked the hotel and written out notes. So we will have potentially like a walking map. So if that's easier for people to read, if you know, from whichever door you come in, how to get to certain rooms, that's going to be available thanks to Connie and her sister. And we're also, I don't know if we're going to be able to pull this off, but we have, the hotel did provide us with a, a, a map, like a map, and we're going to try to get it to like take out all the unnecessary stuff and get it to print out on the embosser. So we might actually have tactile maps available. I don't, don't hold me to that. We're
Right.
going to
That
try
would
our
be
best.
outstanding for that.
Yeah.
As you mentioned, what Connie and her sister did, recently tested a program at the Museum of the American Revolution that was a walking tour that was more for blind and visually impaired folks than just a normal walking tour. It didn't say, okay, you're in this room and here's what you're seeing. It was now proceed forward about 10 feet. And on your right, you'll enter the such and such room. And if you
Nice.
take 7 steps in, you'll see the this and that and the other. So something like that, when you were talking about the directions, that might be something that we put on audio, whether one of us reads it or does it, or we just have voiceover do it and just make different audio tracks. Hey, you want to go to this room? Here's the track for that. From the elevator, make a left and do this, that, and the other, and whatever it might be. But that's great that she did that, and I'm looking forward to seeing those things again once we have all that. That'll also be on that webpage, nfbofpa.org/2024. Anything else that you can think of?
People need to read their emails. A lot of information is going to be flying pretty soon. There will be an official news release, if you would like to say, and we're looking to push that out up in Erie, as a matter of fact, to get it out more into the public. And we're also going to be putting up a public-facing bingo registration. The members do not have to use that form. The members, again, you guys, anybody who's already registered can get into the bingo. This is going to be public facing, but as we even get closer, we're going to have information out as to the rules of bingo, but none of it's going to matter if people don't check their emails, check what we're posting on our website. And so there's going to be a ton of good information coming out. That's all I can say. And I hope everybody stays informed and can help out where they can and can come and enjoy, because the best thing about all the hard work is that it'll pay off and it'll be a fantastic convention this year.
It really does pay off between the networking and getting together with folks who you haven't seen maybe for a year, the things that you learn in the general sessions and the other different events. It's just all good information that, hey, I didn't think I could do that with that phone and so forth and so on. I was at National Convention. I was talking to someone and I said, oh, this is how I get around when I'm in the train station in New York. Oh, I never thought about using that way. And just like we say at the end of every episode, if you've got an idea that you do something around your house, let us know, because somebody else might be able to use that and say, hey, that's a great way to do something. Even if it's some small trivial thing that you think nobody else needs to know, it might help someone down the line. And that's all that we need to do. And that's what convention is. And of course, there is always the fun of convention, whether it's bingo or the auctions, or just, again, getting together and having some drinks with some friends who you only see once or twice a year. Always a lot of fun to do that. Emily, I appreciate you coming on and talking about the convention. Everything that you need to know about the convention is over on the website, nfbofpa.org/2024. It's being updated throughout the weeks. And as we lead up, we'll have more information there. And as the agenda comes out, that will be there. This year, we'll have header tags. The dummy that did it last year didn't add the header tags in for some reason. I don't know why he didn't do that. This year, I promise they'll be there. But I appreciate you coming on and talking about that. If you are listening and you have an idea, you have something, you have a question about convention, and I guess we should mention up until October 15th, you can register for $25. After October 15th, it goes up to $35. Am I correct there, Emily?
Correct. And
Okay.
no food after
And once
October.
we get to October 15th, the food is literally off the table. You can't order the food, but you still can come. You just got to go somewhere else, got to go to one of those restaurants that we talked about. Please reach out to us, 267-338-4495. If you have questions about convention, questions about anything in the NFB of Pennsylvania that you think we can help you with, we'd love to hear from you. Same thing if you have a tip. You've got up to 3 minutes. Please leave your name and town, where you're calling from, and what's your question, comment, show idea, whatever it is. Let us hear from you, 267-338-4495. We also can be reached via email, whitecanesconnect@gmail.com. Emily, thanks again for joining me today.
Thank you for having me, David. It's always a pleasure.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Take care.